Hello, hello, YouTube. This is your host with the most, King Gio. How you guys doing today? Welcome. Yes, it is a surprise. We are doing a live at this time. That is a miracle, right? King Gio does a live at this time. But I was gonna do a live yesterday. Or I did a live yesterday at 10 o'clock. It was supposed to be at 8 p.m. and I didn't do it. I got caught up on certain things, and that is my fault. That is not something that you should get used to. I do apologize for that. So I am so sorry. But here I am doing it live at 11:38 a.m., which is I think is pretty cool, don't you think? I think so. Anyway, so the theme of today, the theme of today is like I said yesterday, that I was going to do it, and Ryu said you really are happy that Donald Trump became president of the United States. But when I said that, when she said that, and I put the comment on, hey, what's up, Mark Cunningham? How you doing? Good morning. When I said that, I forgot to put the sarcastic part behind it, and I'm gonna put in a phone number, and you guys are more welcome to call in if you like. Um, that would be that would be great if you guys do call in because I want to get your opinion. Because at the end of the day, this is all about you guys. Remember that it's about you guys, and so I'm gonna put the number down here so you guys can see it, and you guys can do call in, and you could give me your opinion. All right. That's the calling number. You're calling 336-298-6236. That's 336-298-6236. And unlike your other co-hosts, you can call in. Your opinion will be respected. Um, Obviously, there will be no bickering back and forth. No one's going to be disrespected. I don't care what race, color, creed, or religion that you're from. We all speak and we respect each other's opinion. Okay, so with that said, welcome to the King Geo Show. I am your host, King Geo. I do have, guys, by the way, before I start here, I do have, let me see if I can find it, which I did. I got it yesterday. I got the match merch for King Geo. So if you're interested, please let me know. It's the mask, you see, like this, King Geo. It has the crown, skeleton, and the line here. And it fits pretty good. It's good material. Um, I know the pandemic is dying down, but you put it on, and it fits pretty good. Oops, I have a big head, guys. I'm sorry about that. See, it fits good. Can you see me? Yo, what's up? What's up? And it fits pretty good. You just take it off. I always take it off. From here. Go like this. I go like that. Try not to touch the mask. And so it'll come two of these for $20. Just let me know. I have different colors. Also let me know. I think the one size fits all. It's not gonna come in this bag. I just got it yesterday. This bag like this, but it's not gonna come in that bag. So you guys let me know, and I'll be doing some shirts. I'll be doing some sweatpants, some shorts, and how depending on how things go. And if King Geo blows up, then the merch goes up, and then King Geo for the winter time. All right. So anyway, so let's talk about this. Let's talk about why is King Geo happy that Donald Trump became president of the United States of America. I'm going to give you a little history of things that have gone through. Buy whatever I told you to buy. You say you're going to buy $100 worth, so I gave you 110. So whatever you're going to get the same thing, and then get the same thing for the Trident. This is why you cannot deal with family, because you tell them one thing, then they do another thing, and then yesterday we worked together saying we're going to buy some crypto. I mean, my way I cannot do my crypto here, so he knows how to do it. So I said, buy whatever you're going to buy equally shares. I'm gonna send you the money to buy equal shares. And he goes, "Oh, we're gonna buy this." Yo, you don't have to ask me that. But anyway, So you got the phone numbers 336-298-6236. So I'm going to tell you a little bit of history. Okay, so we all know that the history of the United States is not the best history there is in the world. Anyone that tells you that they're proud of the history of the United States, they're full of themselves. They're full of shit. Okay, I've come to a lot of conclusions in my life, but I've never come to a conclusion more clear than I am now. But when I turned my life over to Christ, that conclusion was clear because I've learned about Christ. I've known about Christ since I was a kid, but I've known even more when I came into a situation that I got myself in a situation, and because of that situation, I got closer to God and I learned about God, how God really is. So as you all know, I'm 49 years old, and in my 49 years, I have seen a lot of things. I'm born and raised in the Bronx, and I've seen politicians come in and go. I've seen corruption come and go. Not just here. I've seen corruptions in Puerto Rico. That's where my family's from, and I've seen a lot. And I've always loved politics. The same way I love science. Science is my favorite subject. So I love science, and I do love politics. I just don't like the politicians. And as I grew up, I grew up. I didn't know too much about Jimmy Carter. I didn't know too much about Lyndon B. Johnson. But because at that time I was not paying attention to politics. What caught my eyes into politics was when AIDS came out in 1982, and Ronald Reagan became president, because it caught my eye. Like, oh wow, an actor became president of the United States, and that caught my eye, and that's how I dove myself into politics. And as I watched Ronald Reagan address the nations and hold on, guys. I don't know why they call him. Sorry about that. So in 1982, when I saw Ronald Reagan become president, I was intrigued because there was an actor became president. So that was like, oh, I didn't. Anyone can become president of the United States, right? You figured, at my age, I was growing up. Everybody was different. We're like, oh, only this person can become president of the United States, and this president, or whatever the case may be. But that's not the case. So, anyways, AIDS came, and when I saw AIDS coming and how AIDS was ravaging, that took my heart. And I was in school, and like I said, I love science. I went into a program in a university that I volunteered, and I studied HIV under the direction with Dr. Gallo, and I learned a lot about HIV and how it works, how the virus works, and stuff like that. They were doing the Dr. Gallo in a team, which was with Dr. Fauci also, but more Dr. Gallo, and some French doctors. I forgot their names. They learned the DNA, the RNA of the virus. Anyway, so as I'm watching this, Ronald Reagan never said the AIDS. He never said that. Those words he didn't want to admit that AIDS touched the United States of America. And his efforts to do anything about it were slow. It was Nancy that did it. I'm a friend of mine who preserves her thoughts and ideas of Nancy Reagan. But anyway, so then we saw how Ronald Reagan did what he did with Russia, the Cold War, and then we saw the Bush administration, and then we saw the Bill Clinton administration, and then we saw another Bush administration, and then we saw Barack Obama running administration, and then we saw a Donald Trump administration, right? So each administration has their own thing, right? Um, Homelessness, recessions, um, the economy, and some of them went down. We got 9/11. The auto industry was going to go bankrupt, and Barack Obama saved it. There were a lot of things that each presidency has. Bush was under with a 9/11. So how you deal with that adversity means a lot in the United States. There's always, and what I'm getting to with Donald Trump is that there's always been racism from the beginning of time. Will racism ever leave? No, racism will never leave, because it's part of our world. You know, even when the Egyptians held Israel, okay, held the Jews, held them as slaves too, so they can build their temples. I mean, every race has had some form of slavery, right? So in some races are more, you could go to Ireland, and some Irish people just don't like Irish people. They hate them. I hate Irish people. So it's nothing new. So slavery, so racism will always be there. That's not going to change, but we can diminish the people's thought. And how do we do that? Is that the way we raise our kids, that's how we do it. And if you raise a kid racist, the kid's going to be racist no matter what, until maybe something happens and he sees that the person he hates or she loathes helps that person out in a time of need, and says, you know what, everything that my mother and father taught me about black people, or Hispanics, or Chinese, or whatever the case may be, it's not true. It's not true. So I go back and say why I am glad that President Trump became president. And you say, oh, wow, what you mean? You mean, King Gio? I tell you that because President Trump became president. Because in my years of Donald Trump becoming president, I have never in my life seen so much division. But Donald Trump becoming president of the United States, I am glad, because it had shown us how ruthless and how careless people of the United States can be. Okay? And that's just the honest to God truth. Okay? You can look at history, and like I said, there's been racism, there's been school shootings, but you have never, ever seen a country so divided. People's true colors have definitely come out. You've gotten Karens of the world, and Karens wouldn't even exist back then. We're calling them Karens, all right? Bitchy white ladies who got nothing else to do, but when they see a black person, they all cry wolf. There's something's going on. You got Candace Owens of the world, who thinks she's white, but yet this woman, through the help of the NAACP in Connecticut, sued a school because for whatever reason, and she won the case. And then when she won the case, now she says that the NAACP is the worst thing there is. All right? Here she is the other day when Juneteenth was made a holiday. She came out and said, people are ignorant. I'm an American. I'm going to celebrate my 4th of July because I'm American. And this is a woman who wants to be black. She wants to be white. That's plain and simple. She wants to fit in. Even she considers herself black, she wants to just to fit in with white America. Same way with Shapiro. Same way with this guy Danjo, whatever his name is. All those people who are Max, who are on Fox. All of them. But anyway, but here you are. You have a country who is divided because you have one man that says that the elections was rigged, and everybody believes that. Instead of saying, you know what, just because he's the president, they're going to say anything. Let us, instead of saying, President Trump, we're Republicans. We're going to vote with you. We're going to stand by you, but show us the proof. If you can show us that there was fraud, and I'm talking about concrete evidence that you can show us that there was fraud, and we are going to march with you. That's what you do. But most of these people don't do that. They just take that man for his word and they just move forward. Okay. When have you seen in any of the presidency anyone charge the Capitol building? No one. You have never seen that. When have you seen a riot where you got a little 16-year-old who goes from one state to another state, shoots and kills two people, 17-year-old Rittenhouse, and you see him walking around the street with the gun, with his rifle, and the cops are just passing by him, and they didn't do anything. Why they didn't do anything? Because he's a white boy, and that is the truth. You can't deny that. No one can deny that. Okay, so this is what this man has brought. He has brought a division to this country so bad that you have people going to Arizona by the Ninja Patrol. Who calls yourself a Ninja Patrol, by the way? And you want to audit. You want to audit an election because this man says that he was rigged. This man, all right, mind you, this man has taken it to court 65 times. If I'm not mistaken, 65 or 66 times, and he's been rejected each and every one except for one. He was rejected basically in all of them. In all of them. Why? Because there was a lack of evidence. And some of those judges that rejected Donald Trump's claim are judges that he appointed. So this is his mentality. I'm going to say that I was rigged because most of those judges, I appointed them. They are going to back me up. They are going to help me out. And that's not what happened. They said no. You know, they're talking about that there were fraud in Philadelphia. The people of Philadelphia, the people of Georgia, there was no fraud. Florida was the state that finished the first in election, and because they have a system. The same system that Florida has in voting, Philadelphia could have had that same system, but the legislation of Philadelphia decided to vote against a system like Florida. In the end, the legislation in Philadelphia it's held by Republicans. The Republicans decided to keep the election status the way it is now. So what did Philadelphia do like Georgia? They let all the walk-ins come first. Everyone that walked in, they counted those votes. And then once that finished, they started counting in the mail-in ballots. The same thing happened in Georgia. Okay, Georgia did an extensive look. They did a recount, and the same result came out. Why? Because you have this one man who cannot refuse to lose, cannot take defeat the right way. So he makes a narrative. People, unfortunately, with no brain cells, decides to follow that narrative. You got the Shapiros of the world. You got the DiBandino of the world. You got the Janine Pirro of the world. You got Fox of the world. But Fox does it for the low ratings. And you have all these people follow this man instead of doing their own research. Okay, they started calling Joe Sleepy Joe because he was in the basement. They started calling Sleepy Joe because they never called Joe Biden Sleepy Joe until Donald Trump said it. So you can tell. So whatever Donald Trump repeats, whatever Donald Trump says, these people follow. And it's kind of a shame. Like my mug, King Gio, if you want that, let me know too, boy. And it's a shame. You know? So here we have, again, a divided country. You have officers killing black and Hispanic people, mostly black. You have now we have statues of white supremacists coming down. The white people say, "Oh, why should we get those things down?" Because those people supported slavery. Those people supported white supremacists. So those people, I don't even know why they got their statues there. You know, so we have a divided country. So he has brought all those people that were sleeping, that were dormant in their homes and in trailers. Donald Trump brought them out. And when they brought them out, look what they did. They did an insurrection at the Capitol building. Okay? And then the Republican Party does not want to do a committee because they know that if the committee is done, they're going to be investigated that some of those senators, some of the Republican senators, are in cahoots of what happened on January 6th. That's why they don't want to do a committee. And then the Democrats are even worse because they decide they can easily say, you know what, we're going to form a committee of our own. We're going to hire private people that can do a job. But what happens then? And then people are not going to believe them because they say, oh, you know, that's done by that's done by a Democrat Party. Because if you look at it, a year ago, when Trump was in office, there was a committee done by both parties to investigate Donald Trump's campaign. And it came to the conclusion that Donald Trump's campaign was in collusion with the Russians. You can Google that up. It came out. A Republican, and when it was read, it said a Republican-led investigation. But it was done by both, but it was Republican-led. They come to the conclusion that the Trump campaign was in collusion with Russia. Okay, so it's there. You know, he claims that his campaign was being wiretapped. There's no proof. He says all these things, but there's no proof. But yet people believe him. And when you do that, you're causing chaos. I'm surprised there's no anarchy. I'm surprised people have not gone ballistic. And I say that, and that's where it comes from, that I'm glad that Donald Trump became president because it brought out, and it's still bringing out the Karens of the world. It's bringing out the people who were in their homes. They stood shut. They have come out and voiced their opinion about how much they hate people who are not American, how much they hate people who are not of your skin color. Okay? It has brought those people out to light. Okay, it has brought groups that we've never had before. Proud Boys and all those kind of craps. QAnon brought people like groups like that wants to go further from an agenda and wants to fill people's head with conspiracy, like the conspiracy going on now that Donald Trump is going to be not reinvented. When they reinvented, he's going to be put back into office on August. Things that are impossible to do. Okay, you had Mike Pence, who was giving a speech the other day, and people haggled him and called him a traitor. This is how stupid people are. Okay, they called him a traitor because Donald Trump said he was a traitor. Look at people. Mike Pence couldn't have done anything. Mike Pence was there as an MC. Mike Pence was at reading of the votes because that's his job as vice president, is to read them. He cannot overturn them. He cannot say this session cannot be done until we do an investigation. No, he's there as a courtesy because that's the way that it was written. So Donald Trump put in your brain, on these people's brain, that he could have done something. You know how much pressure that put that on that man? Now this man is going to have to run or if he runs for presidency or he runs for whatever, and you have those little, they're small, but small people, they're going to start heckling him. You traitor. But other people who are smart Republicans are going to say, no, you're not a traitor. You did what you had to do. And those are the people you follow. But you're going to have a small number of people who are so stupid and brainwashed. They're going to say, you're traitor. You know, and those little 2 people, 3 people can come to be 4, 5, 6, 100. You know, but that's a shame. You know, so why follow this man if you're not going to do your own research? If you're not going to follow or do the things that you're supposed to do as a human being, because if you're going to follow a person, make sure that whatever that person is saying is true. Don't go about what Fox says. Don't go about what NBC says. Don't go about what any of these social media people says. You do your own research. You do your own fact check. And once you do your own fact check, that's how you're going to know the truth of it all. Okay? You cannot sit down and say, like what Donald Trump says, when he was president, he says we've had the best unemployment rate that there ever was. That's not true. That is not true. But he makes you believe it. So what you do, you fact check. When Barack Obama took office, unemployment rate was 11.7 or 11.4, something like that. He caught the United States in a recession. And in all those years that he was president of the United States, unemployment kept going down and went all the way down to 4.5. Yeah, 4.7. I'm sorry, 4.7. So from 11 points all the way down to 4.7 in 8 years. And when Donald Trump took office, that unemployment was at 4.7. It came down to 3.5. So it came down to just 1.2%, which is nothing compared to what Barack Obama had, and he brought it all the way down to 5.7. I mean 4.7. So Barack Obama did more in his last 3 years than Donald Trump did in his last first year. But Donald Trump will not make you to believe that. He says we've had the best kind of. So you look at the paper, you say, oh wow, yeah, look, it is real low. It's at 3.5. But what got it there? Now, if you tell me he got it at 8 point in 3 years, brought it down to 3.5, now you got to give the man credit because he brought that all the way down in 3 years. But that's not what he did. He inherited a low unemployment rate. He inherited a good economy. Like you said, like I said, if you don't do your research, you won't know. Hold on, guys. Sorry about that, guys. I do apologize for that. No more interruptions. I'm not taking no more calls when I do my lives. So, like I was saying, so here we have, so we have to we have to learn how to we have to learn how to do our research, okay? Because you cannot go by what one person says, okay? You cannot go by one person says. So if you get fixated, if like you go to church and your pastor says, go donate $1 million to this church because we need it. You don't go donate $1 million to a church. You barely got any money. You're going to donate the last thing you have for what? For them to build a bigger church, or for them? No. If it's something to help a person out with rent, or buy someone's food, or a person getting evicted, that's something different. But not so same thing. The same thing. So whenever you hear a politician tells you that this bill is not going to do anything, research it. The bill always comes online. Read the bill. It's going to be a lot of pages, but read it. If you're that gun-ho with politics, if you believe in politics and you want to be and you're after Trump and you're with Trump, don't take Trump for his word. Read the proposals. Read what's going on. You cannot stay stuck on stupid people. You really can't. And like I said, that's the reason that I put down the title. I'm glad that Trump was president, because it has brought out the stupid people out. All those people that were cocooning their homes, that were afraid to talk for whatever reason. Trump brought those people out. So now every day you see a video of a Karen. Every day you see another video of a police officer killing somebody else or harassing people. You see idiot people saying, "Hey, look, they did a George Floyd statue. But he's a martyr. He's not a martyr." And people don't understand that the statue of George Floyd is not because he was a good person, because George Floyd was not a good person. We all know that. Okay? The purpose, and this is my belief, the purpose, I don't think they should have done a statue anyway. But the statue's there, and the purpose of that statue is that to remind you of the injustice that there is in this country, to remind you that this man was killed, to remind you this man had a knee to his neck for 9 minutes and 38 seconds, and no officer did anything. To remind you that could be you, that could be your son, that could be your daughter, that what happened to him can happen to you if the system does not change. That's what that statue's there for. Not to galvanize him and say, "Oh, George Floyd, you're the best." No, that's not for that. If you see it that way, then I'm sorry, then you're stupid. Okay, you have statues of General Lee. You have statues of presidents who own slaves. You have presidents who own slaves. Presidents did own slave people. Okay, and if you didn't know something that I didn't know, but I did know, thanks to Anna Doctor, that most slave owners were women. Think about that. When you have a country, and that country is full of that, I'm better than you because of my skin color, then there's something wrong. Okay? In your country, when you think that you can own someone, then there's something wrong. You cannot own no one. God owns you because he made you. But the person cannot own another person. But that's the way it was back then. And then you see the mentality here, people. You see the mentality people here. They say, "Oh, go back to your country. Go back to Africa." Motherfucker, go back to your country. If you look at your last name, look it up. Your last name is not from here. Somewhere in Ireland, somewhere in Europe. So why don't you go back to Europe? If you look at the map, you see how Texas was Mexico. And you see California and New Mexico and Las Vegas. That was part of Mexico back in the days. They try to buy Mexico. They offered $25 million for California. They said no, and they went to war and lost. But all that was part of Mexico. Texas won it on a war, and they became a little own state. But all that was Mexico. All that was Mexico. None of that was part of the United States of America. And just look at it. Look at it. Look how the United States became the United States. The United States became the United States under. They raped the men and women. They raped the women of the Indian tribes, or the Native Americans. All right. And then they brought they brought black people from Africa, from Europe, right? Enslaved them here. And then the white people that had them, they were having sex with the women, right? They impregnated these women. They had kids with these women while they enslaved them. A lot of women were dead. A lot of women got killed. Right? A lot of men died because they said they owned them. How the fuck can you own? How can you own a person? And then the funny thing is that there's no reparation, none whatsoever. But yet, the slaves, the slave owner masters, they had the audacity to claim reparation on their land because they lost land. So these are the same people who had slaves have the audacity, once those slaves left, have the audacity to claim reparation for land they lost, land that they were supposed to give to the slaves, because that was the agreement for having these people as slaves. That after a certain amount of time and they finished their contract and they were freed, they were given their papers, you had to give these slaves some land. That was never done. America took land from the Indian, from the Native Americans. It was just up to recently, maybe 20 years ago, that the Indians did the Indian tribe, and they got their land, and it's federally, and it's federally protected. But where are the lands of the black people? The black people worked in cotton fields. Black people did everything. You got some white people that worked the rails, and some people did buildings, but that's back. Those were back in the 40s and 50s. But who kept this country together in the 1800s with vegetation, with cotton, with lumber? Who did that? Black people. Black people did that. And I'm surprised that that these white people never thought to themselves, you know what? This is not the right thing to do. We can't own people. We can ask them, listen, would you mind working in my farm for a few amount of dollars? But no, they came, these people, these presidents and all that, they came with the mentality of the Europeans, because this was part of Europe, that they were the one that came to the United States and they did whatever they did, and they wreaked havoc and brought diseases to the Native Americans. And that's what it was. So don't you get tired of seeing the same thing over and over? Don't you get tired of watching the Candace Owens of the world, the Tuckers of the world, the idiot Janine Pirro of the world? I thought to a point Gerardo Rivera at one point was kind of cool. But, he's a Republican, but he's Puerto Rican. He's a smart man. And when he went with Trump, I'm like, so stupid. And he defends Trump. And you don't defend someone like that. You just don't. There's nothing good that comes out of Donald Trump's mouth. And I can tell you that because I'm from New York. I seen Donald Trump do shady shit. I seen it. I've read, when he was in New Jersey and he talked about the casino. And he tried to take a woman out because her house was intervening with the construction of the new casino, and they wanted to give you pennies for $1, and it wasn't like that. He steps over people just to get what he wants, and he knew how to speak to the American people, those who are uneducated. Because he said, "Oh, I love the uneducated. I love the one who can't read." That's not something you say, but you got to understand that this man has no educational background. He has no respect to other people. He just wasn't brought up with manners. He wasn't. Then he calls Sleepy Joe, but he doesn't call himself. When he said on the news, when on the news, in one of the TV show, on one of the show hosts, one of the shows, he said, "Oh, if Ivana wasn't my daughter, I'll date her." And I've had people. I have one person that says, "Oh, that's nothing bad to say. My daughters are great. I would say the same thing. I would date my daughter if they weren't my daughter." No, you don't say that. That question was asked to me. I would never say if my daughter wasn't my daughter, I would date her. No. If someone asked me if that was your daughter, if that wasn't your daughter, would you date her? I'm like, yo, what kind of question is that? It's kind of sick. No, but if no, there is no nah. We just don't think that way. Our daughters are our daughters. Our sons are our sons. We don't. Our cousins are our cousins. We don't think that. At least we don't think like. At least I don't think like that. And I'm assuming that most of people in the world don't think like that. But here, this man in national television says if it wasn't his daughter, he'll date her. You can say, yeah, my daughter's gorgeous. Oh, my daughter's beautiful. Because, of course, that's your daughter. But you're not going to go and say, I would date her. That's kind of sick. So, what do we do? Like I said, I'm glad that he became president because it took everything out. Now we know. Now we know how true Americans feel. Now we know how the American people feel about the United States of America. If you ain't white, you don't got it. And I'm tired of seeing these little Proud Boys. When people do a protest or what it can be, I'm tired of seeing Proud Boys breaking it up. I'm tired of you don't do that. Let those people protest. Lucky it wasn't me. I saw where this Proud Boy guy went and ripped everything out, went in front of an old man's face. Oh, it hit me, man. I can't see that, man. That would have been me. I would have punched him in the mouth. I can't. I'm not a violent person at all. I don't like violence. But there's certain things you just can't stand there and just say, and you just can't let it happen. You just can't. And call yourself Proud Boys. Nothing proud about you. And the insurrection of January 6th made us look bad around the world. And like I said, people are stupid. Oh, the gas prices are going up. The guy because of Biden. No, no president, even Trump, no president of the United States of America has a control in gas prices. None. So you got to take that out of your head. Stop letting all these people tell you that the gas prices are up because of Donald Trump, because of Biden. No, it's not. They're up because it's supply and demand. More people are traveling. The more people travel, the more cars outside. So that means there's going to be more gas. It's called supply and demand. And when you have a little bit of supply and demand is high, prices will go up. It's plain and simple. That's economics 101. That's simple. That is plain and simple. So as a nation, where do we start going from here? Where do we go from here? Because this is getting worse and worse every day. It is. And it's going to get worse if Donald Trump keeps spewing the stupidity that he does. And that's the honest to God truth. So it's got to stop. You have to come to your own conclusion. You have to start making up your own decisions. You have to start doing a lot of things on your own instead of, if you're a Trump fan, fine, you're a Trump fan. But whenever he says something, look it up. Make sure that it's fact. Oh, but Mexico is going to build a wall. Mexico's not going to build a wall. Never has, never will. And even if you build the wall, do you see these? But if you're not in San Diego, on that borderline that goes from San Diego all over down to Texas, whatever the case may be, go to the. I want you to go to those. I want you to go to those borders, and I want you to see how these people come into the country, regardless of the wall. So you can put walls all over the place. But there was always found a way. I saw a guy put a ladder. It must have been 200 feet up in the air. And he's still climbing and went the other way. He climbed it back down on the other side. Yes. 12 veils. Yes. Thank you. Someone came in. I did. But I'm glad that Trump was president is a euphemism. It's more of a sarcastic. I am glad that he was president because as president of the United States, he brought the truth out. all these people that were sleeper heads, all these people that were, thank you, same to you, all these people that were cocooned in their homes, they're coming out. And now you're seeing the true face of America, the true hatreds, the Karens of the world. And all these things are because of him. Okay? Because, yes, we had racism. Yes, we have school shootings. Yes, we have all this. But we're having that more now because of Donald Trump. Now you're seeing the true face of the people of the United States of America. And as I see more of that, the more disgusted I am of this country. I really am. You know, you can't do anything in this country without you being judged. Now you have these people. Oh, if you ain't white, you ain't nobody. Oh, now you have to walk around the street. Oh, you have to do this. People are watching you. People are watching. You know, this is why HOA. Yes, the Karens of the world. That that shit didn't exist 5 years ago. Karens of the world. It exists now. Why has that come to light? Because of Donald Trump. Yes, we have white people who are very nosy. You got that everywhere. You got that everywhere. But when you have a person come out your house, come out their own house to record you because you're in their neighborhood, you're like a bitch, but I live here. Yeah, but you're supposed to have just this high, but who are you? Oh, but who are you? And you have those people and they're white and they're Karens, you be like, wow. You know, the same way with Amaya Braxton. Amaya Braxton was killed in Mississippi by a Karen. Her name is Karen. She got off the school bus. She went to a house. She was standing outside her house, and Karen, that's her name. Instead, the school bus was stopped. Had the stop sign outside, and she decided not to do that. I guess she was talking on the phone, veered this way, went into the girl's garage into her lawn, and dragged the girl and killed her. Did they give her? Did they arrest her? No. Did they charge her? No. Mind you, in the same state of Mississippi, a few years ago, same scenario, and the person was arrested, but not Karen, because partly Karen knows someone in the judicial system, I guess. So to this day, Amaya Braxton is dead, but that Karen is alive, and she had to move, but she's alive and doing well. While the Braxton had to move because Mississippi was not treating them well, and they went to another state. So there you go. You got the Karen. Well, he drained the swamp of idiots. That's what he did. That's what he did. You know, you got look at this. Just the other day, I saw a video where in Manhattan, a black guy punched a Chinese lady in the face. So he knocked the Chinese lady out. Why does that happen? Because Donald Trump, in his last year of presidency, he said, "Oh, the China virus is therefore this is the China virus. This is the China virus. This is the China virus." So people got into their brain and said, "Oh, now we're going to bring more people who are Chinese or look squinted, or we're going to punch them in the face, because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have this. We wouldn't have this problem. We wouldn't have coronavirus." Instead of thinking, if Donald Trump would have done his job and he would have closed everything out from the beginning and would have told people to mask up and would have locked down, we wouldn't be in the position that we are today, that we have over 600,000 dead Americans. What you mean the entire term? You know, so instead of saying, you know, beat people up, or that he didn't say beat people up, he said this was a Chinese thing. No, instead of saying that, you know, this is a global thing, now we have to deal with it globally, but I have to deal with it in my country because it's my country, so I have to look out for what's best for my people. That's what he should be saying. Not say, oh, the Chinese did, it came from the Wuhan land. Now he's saying that it didn't come from the Wuhan land, but before he did say it came from the Wuhan land. You know, and it's just ridiculous. So when you see when you see stupid people go up to an Asian and punch them because they think it's just stupid. It's just pure idiocy. And like I said, he brought out stupid people, like you said. He brought out stupid people out from the swamp while they were still hibernating in the swamp. They were probably doing themselves because those high, I guess the inbreed in them, and that's what I said. Dave 25. The title will get me canceled. It is what it is. Well, I think Biden is focusing on more on the COVID. I don't think as a president for his 100 days, I don't think he's doing that good. I was not. I don't. The title will get you canceled. Papa Gold is owned. You still with his Papa thing? Uh, One thing that I didn't like. One thing I don't like that I didn't like about Biden. Still don't. Um, is that in 100 and some odd days, he brought together an anti-Asian discrimination law and put it into law. While here we still have black people getting killed. There has not been nothing has been done as far as law as to curtail police brutality. There's not been a law to say that we're going to revise the whole entire police system. I don't pay no paper, don't pay no attention to that Papa thing. Um, so there are other things that he could be doing, but he did this with the Asian thing. The thing that got me One of the things that got me upset was that he sent Kamala Harris to Central America, and when they asked her some questions, she was perplexed. She didn't answer those questions correctly, and you cannot send someone who doesn't have any experience in foreign affairs, doesn't know how these countries work, and she her answers were not up to par. So you can't do that. You gotta send someone who's experienced. And then she came on board the other day. She said to the people of these countries, if you're gonna come over to the United States, stay home. And the Republicans criticized her for saying stay home, and even some Democrats. But this is something that Donald Trump said too when he was president: stay home. And in that aspect, I do agree with that because we have to learn to take care of our own first. You cannot accept all these people to come here, and then we have people who are still homeless in the United States of America, where we have children who are starving. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if she refused. I guess it was because there's too much. There's too much. There's too much tension. But all those people that are on the border, they were there for the Donald Trump era. Oh, I know that, Benny. I know that. Look, I want to take a trip one day if things go okay and my YouTube channel goes in and I'm generating money. I want to take a trip and do a live and go all over to California and see and record all those people in Skid Row, and then go. I saw another one in Denver, Colorado, and record all those people from Denver, Colorado, and record these homeless people who are in the streets. And because the media does not do that. Some media outlets do it maybe for 20 seconds, but they don't see how these people. Let's take out how they became homeless. That's irrelevant because a lot of people think about that. A lot of people may say, "Oh, they're homeless because they want to." Let's take that away, but they're still homeless, and show the people of America how are these people living. How is it that we are sending people to the moon? Are we sending money into space when there's not? We don't need anything out there. All right, look at that, Chicago. All right, You have places like Benny Gonzalez said, Chicago has homeless places. So why don't we go? I'm assuming that Chicago has a lot of places that are abandoned. The owners abandoned them, or the city has them, and they have done anything. Why don't you take those places, buy them up, fix them, and give them to the homeless? And give it to the homeless, and you have social workers there that can work with them so they can get a job. You know how it is that you can't get a job because you have no place to live, you got nowhere to shower, you got no place to eat, you have to go, you gotta find different places to eat. That's not good. That's not good to hear. That's not good for the stamina. That's not good for the person's health, mind wise either. Yeah, people from other countries run to America because look, I saw something the other day, Vale, that was very important. That I put it. I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to find it so you can see. And this is the honest to God truth. So you guys can learn, because I know I learned. Okay. I sent this to this lady. Where it says there is no country is poor, which is true. No, that's from Puerto Rico. It's heaven to us. Well, we just use the wrong cause and let them brainwash us from the start. Well, you can only get brainwashed if you let yourself, Benny. That's why it's always good. That's like I said. That's why it's always good to do your own research. I'm trying to see where I put this at. Malcolm X said it. Malcolm X put a good thing the other day too, which I didn't admire too much Malcolm X, but I do now. Look what this one said. This is from an Indian, right? It says, I'm gonna read it to you. It says, before our white brothers came to civilize us, we had no jails, therefore we had no criminals, we had no locks or keys, and we had no thieves. If a man was poor, that he had no horse, tippy, or blanket, someone gave him these things. We were too uncivilized to set much value on personal belongings. We wanted to have things only in order to give them away. We had no money, and therefore a man's worth can be measured by it. Thank you to Avail. Whatever you do, have fun. So I'll show you another one. So I'm gonna show it to you because I know looking through here, I can look it through here too. Yeah, I got it. Listen to this, and this is the truth. This is the truth.
inexorable expansion. And that means so one of the laws of capitalist motion and development is this inexorable expansion. And that means expansion into an expropriation of the third world. A process that's been going on for about 400 years, perpetrated by the Portuguese, the Spaniards, the Dutch, the Belgians, the French, the English, and most recently, most successfully, most impressively, by the Americans. That is by the ruling classes of these countries, not by the ordinary people. The ordinary people simply paid the costs of empire. The ordinary people simply sent their sons off to die on the plains of India or in the jungles of the Congo or in Latin America, wherever else. But that expropriation of the third world has been going on for 400 years, brings us to another revelation, namely that the third world is not poor. You don't go to poor countries to make money. There are very few poor countries in this world. Most countries are rich. The Philippines are rich. Brazil is rich. Mexico is rich. Chile is rich. Only the people are poor. But there's billions to be made there, to be carved out and to be taken. There's been billions for 400 years. The capitalist European and North American powers have carved out and taken the timber, the flax, the hemp, the cocoa, the rum, the tin, the copper, the iron, the rubber, the bauxite, the slaves, and the cheap labor. They have taken out of these countries. These countries are not underdeveloped, they're overexploited.
Think about that, guys. There is no poor country. And that is the truth. The countries like the United States like to tell you, oh, the underdeveloped country, because when you see an underdeveloped country, what do you see? You say Haiti because they don't have this, or some part of Africa because they don't have that, or you go to Central America because they don't have this. They saying that's underdeveloped, but they are fully developed anyways. Maybe not to the capacity that you and I can see it, but they do have the money. But they're so corrupt that it's not for the people. And that's the truth. You know, people say, oh, this is the greatest country in the world because you can say whatever you want to say because we have freedom of speech. But do you know there are other 25 other countries or more that have democracy? That there too you could speak, you could say what you want to say. There are other places. I can look you up if I'm not mistaken. You can Google it. There are countries, I think if it's the Netherlands, where workers at McDonald's get paid $20 some odd an hour. $20 some odd an hour. A worker. Yes, they get taxed. They get taxed a lot. But check this out. They get taxed, but they got universal health care. The streets are clean. The police officers do their jobs. They don't hassle you the way it is. You know, those are the countries that are happy. Those are happy countries. Google which is the happiest country in the world, and you will see the United States not even there. Not even there. We don't even in anything that we have done, whether it's economics or we're not even number one. We don't produce anything like we used to. We don't export it to it as we used to. You know, our educational system, it's not the best in the world. We're not producing engineers. We're basically not producing anything. If you go to hospitals nowadays, most of the nurses, most of the doctors are either Chinese or Indian. Yes, Benny, America is full of greed and hate. That's why we don't have a universal health care. That's why that's why you still have people killing other people with these guns because it's not regulated. Healthcare, the pharmacy companies don't want to be regulated. The pharmacy companies don't want us to have universal health care because it doesn't benefit them. The health insurance company don't want that. You know, but yet here we are saying this is the best country there is in the world. It may be the best country there is in the world, But the people of this country makes it bad. People like the Karens of the world makes it bad. People like the Candace of the world, the Shapiros of the world, the Beninos of the world, the Chris Tuckers of the world, people who think like them make this country look bad. And that is truth. When you have a governor of Texas, when you have a governor, and this is the governor of Texas is saying to you that they're going to pay for a wall, which they're not going to pay for a wall because they don't have the money to pay for the wall, but because elections are coming up, he wants to say that so he can get votes because he said in his mind this is what he's thinking. The governor of Texas thinking if it worked for Donald Trump in 2016 when he said that he was going to build the wall, so it should work for me, though he has no money to do so. But yet you have a power grid that last year completely went dead. People died because there was a code that came in that no one expected that code to come in. People died, and he doesn't want to fix the power grid. Why he doesn't want to fix the power grid? Because the power grid is not. I got that. The power grid is not regulated. So if you cannot regulate it, that means that you can do whatever you want with it. You can throw as many watts as you want. You can charge as many money as you want for those watts. So it's not regulated. No one's going to go there and say, you know what? That piece needs to be changed. That piece needs to be upgraded. If you don't upgrade that piece by next week, we're going to have to shut this down. So to avoid that, they don't have it regulated. So they don't care if there is another blackout because in his mind, we got FEMA. We'll get FEMA. FEMA will do this for us. That's what we pay taxes for. Yes, Benny. They want to make money off of anything they can money. I remember when I was growing up, and I felt proud when I saw things that said "Made in the USA." Made in the USA. I was like, "Oh, cool, man." You feel proud that your jeans, your sneakers, or whatever came from the USA. And then one day I saw a Ford Mustang, and the motor said "Made in Mexico," but this is Ford. And that's when I realized, wow, in every jeans that you see, it's made in Mexico, made in Indonesia. Shit, I went to Puerto Rico. When I was in Puerto Rico, I wanted to buy a shirt that says Puerto Rico. When I looked in the back, it says made in Indonesia. I'm like, I'm not buying a shirt that says made in Indonesia. I want to buy a shirt that was made here in Puerto Rico. That's authentic. That a person from Puerto Rico made that shirt. Not someone from Indonesia. And then you came and you bought it in and said, "Viva Puerto Rico." No. Do you know that Mexico, if you're trying to come in from Ecuador or any other spot south of them, they don't let them and kill them most of the time? Well, I don't know about all that. I know when President Trump was there, he had made some form of agreement with those countries that those people stay there, like in Ecuador, San Salvador, and the United States will give them they will recompense them. How I don't know, but somehow they was going to get compensated for keeping those people in their countries. But you got to think about it this way. Those countries are the way they are because they're full of corruption. Like you saw the speech, no country's poor, but the government is making them poor. You see? So if these governments stop being corrupted and they stop listening to gangs and stop listening to pressures or shit like that, their country will succeed. And you don't have this exodus of people of this mass immigration coming from all these countries. There's Venezuela was doing great in the 80s and 90s until Hugo Chavez took office. This has been happening for years. I'm half and half. You have what? What you mean you have half? What's your nationality, Benny? So if these countries, like I said, if these countries took care of their own and eradicate it, you can't eradicate drugs like that. You can't eradicate gangs. Gangs is you can eradicate gangs. That is why Puerto Rico had to file for bankruptcy. Well, Puerto Rico is a story in itself. I'm going to do another thing in Spanish when I get off of this. Puerto Rico filed for bankruptcy because no one had no choice. Puerto Rico became bankrupt. Puerto Rico is in this situation because Puerto Rico chose to. Okay, you're Mexican and Puerto Rican. Oh, that's cool. Okay, Mexico has more more of an economic. I mean, more economic than Puerto Rico does, and Mexico is more corrupt than Puerto Rico. Well, they're both corrupt anyway. And when Puerto Rico became corrupt, because what happened with Puerto Rico was this: Puerto Rico in the 1990s when Bill Clinton was president. When Bill Clinton left when Bill Clinton left the presidency, Bill Clinton left the United States with a surplus. There was a surplus in this country. That means that we had money. So if we had money, Puerto Rico had money. So Puerto Rico started splurging money. There was a guy by the name of Fajardo. Fajardo took money from the AIDS Association. He squandered money, millions and millions of dollars. Those politicians took millions and millions of dollars from aid that was sent to Puerto Rico. So what happened with Puerto Rico? That Puerto Rico was taking out loans after loan after loan. So let's say Puerto Rico will take out $10 million to cover the fiscal year of 1994. Okay? Came 1994, 1995 came out, that money's gone. They take another loan, and what they do with that loan is that they pay the interest on the first loan. They don't pay the first loan. They pay the interest. So now, mind you, they pay the interest, but the loan is still there. So that loan stays there. The loan they just took out there. So they just kept paying interest and to interest for everything, and they let all this loan catch up. And then when they piled up, I mean, it piled up at that time to over $72 million. All right. When the governor of Puerto Rico, Padilla, became the governor of Puerto Rico, he opened the books back in 2004. I got there in 2004. Like around 2005, Puerto Rico implemented a 7% sales tax. For the very first time, Puerto Rico had a sales tax. So it was at 7%. So when Padilla was president, when Padilla was governor of governor of Puerto Rico, he looked in the books. Hold on. All right, so here you go. Sorry. So Padilla looked in the books and said, where's the money? Where's the 7% sales tax money? Where has it gone? Because the books were empty. So the government is so this is the way it was. It was 7% sales tax. That means the government kept 6%, and each city, in each town, in each city, kept 1% of the sales tax. All right, so 1% goes to the city. I mean, to the municipality, and then 6% goes to the government. So you got 72. You got 72. You got 72 municipalities. You're getting a good chunk of revenue from the income from the sales tax, and that never happened. So instead of saying, you know what, instead of saying, boy, I'm going to audit this and I want to see what's going on, he raised the sales tax from 7% to 11.5%, the highest of any state here in the United States. So the sales tax now is at 11.5%. So instead of auditing Puerto Rico, he just raised taxes because he knows that if he audits Puerto Rico, or any of those governors decides to audit the books of Puerto Rico, they're going to know that the corruption runs deep, and maybe their family members is going to be in that book. Maybe friends of friends are going to be in that book. So they don't want to open up. That's what's going to happen. It's going to open up a can of worms, and they don't want that can of worm to be open. They don't want that can of worm to be open. They really don't. And that's sad. So going back to my premise, that's why I said that I wanted Puerto Rico to, that I said that I'm glad that Donald Trump was president of the United States. That I'm being sarcastic, ladies and gentlemen. That I'm not happy that he was. I think he did a disservice to our country. Like I said, I'm a Republican or Democrat, but I think he's one of the worst presidents that ever took office. Not because he was a Republican, no, because he was just a narcissist man who just did things for himself and for the rich people. And when he tried to help, he didn't help. And when you don't help the people of the United States of America, even though he says that he is not a politician, he did act as a politician. He went into the presidency with a rich man's mentality. If you saw his cabinet when he first came in, his whole entire cabinet was millionaires that had no experience. Joyce DeWitt had no experience in governmentship, but she's the richest person, one of the richest women in the world with billions of dollars. Made her head secretary of education. How can you make a secretary of education when she has no knowledge of how to run a school system? All right. So look at it, Google it. His cabinet, when the people that he got in office with him, they were all billionaires, all of them. He took the Jets the Jets owner Johnson to be an attaché to another country, which the man never had experience as an attaché. He doesn't even know. People probably didn't even know what the word means and spell it, but he gave him a job for 4 years. He's a billionaire. He owns the New York Jets. He owns Johnson and Johnson, the pharmaceutical company. So think about that. Think about that. Instead of he here is he said he's a businessman. So instead of bringing people who are if you want the economy to be good, you bring an economist. If you want the school system, you bring someone who has experience in the school system as so they can run the school system. If you want a good military, then you bring someone who's been in the military. You just don't bring your own people. And they all were billionaires. They all were billionaires. He didn't bring the small Joes. That's where he started all wrong. But yet, he's not a politician, but yet he's a businessman. And that's what he did. When he did the Tax Act, that all these companies, yes, they saw a tax act, the tax went from 35% or whatever, 27 to 35%, went down all the way down to 22%, which is great because they were able to give more to these employees. The employees were able to get to 401ks. But the thing that they didn't tell you was that all that good stuff was going to go away this year, which it did before January 6th. I mean, it went away January 16th, right? So what this means is that for all those people who got those tax breaks, now those tax breaks are going to come back up starting this year. It's already started. So every year, your taxes are going to go higher and higher until 2027, because that's the way he had it. And to go then 2027, you'll be paying more in taxes than you did in 2016, 17 when he did the Tax Act. Okay, but yet for businesses, the tax still stands. So the businesses were still there. And like any presidency, you look around and you say, you have people saying, Democrats, how is it that Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates and JetBlue and Elon Musk don't pay federal taxes? They don't pay federal taxes because there are loopholes. But why? The Democrats say, what they haven't paid the taxes, they should pay the taxes. But if you want them to pay the taxes, why don't you take away the loopholes? Right? That's the way you do it. You take away the loopholes. But the reason they don't take away the loopholes is because they themselves are rich. And if they take away the loopholes, they can't. Their companies, the companies that they have money invested in, won't make any money. So that's what they're doing. Because look at Nancy Pelosi. She's 80 years old. I don't even like the lady. She shouldn't even be there. But she's 80 years old. She's worth over $20 million. $20 million. Steve Mnuchin, who was the Secretary of of Finance, he was doing. Anyway, just look him up. Steve Mnuchin. He's worth over $500 million. He's close to $1 billion, right? Lindsey Graham is over $20 million rich. Lindsey Graham, bro. Mitch McConnell has $22 million. So if you did get rid of the loophole, most of these people that I just mentioned, somewhere their money's tied to a business that is also not paying federal taxes. And if they did that, they would make their money. And that's the way it is, man. That's the way it is. So anyway, guys, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. I'll do a lot tonight at 8. I see you guys then. Thank you, Benny. You've been a pleasure, man. I know you subscribe. Try to be a subscriber to my subscription. It's only $1.99 a month. I got 3 different tiers that you can join. Simple math, 5 trillion printed, 303 million American. Why we only got that week check? Everyone fighting over them. I don't know. Because they complain about money, but yet they got paid. Okay? They every 2 weeks, the 15th and the 30th of every month, they get their paycheck regardless of how the country is doing. Regardless. So $1,200 is a slap in the face. $1,500 is a slap in the face. All right? What they need to do is that people need to go back to work. That's what they need to do. Fuck this unemployment bullshit. Go back to work. Bring the economy back up. Do your shit. Save the shores. The bank. Hey, Benny, let me ask you something. How old are you? Well, there's nothing wrong with help, but there's something wrong with taking advantage of help. If you can work, you should work. I mean, I understand the government needs to help the people, and people need to be helped. I understand all that. Yo, but Benny, question. How old are you? 34. You got kids? You got kids, Benny? Oh, they said there's a Shores account with that money? There probably is. There probably is. But they're not going to open the books to find out because they don't want to. Okay, so you got kids, Benny. Now let me ask you a question, all right? There's a video floating around a few years ago where Donald Trump, right? Where Donald Trump was asked about his daughter. And he said, oh, if Ivanka was not my daughter, well, he said she's beautiful, which is understandable. We always say that, right? And then he said, if my daughter wasn't my daughter, I'll date her. This young man, Ray Roberts, says that that's okay to say that. And I say to you, would that thought even cross your mind to say, if she wasn't my daughter, I'd date her? Or how would you feel offended if I asked you, yo, how would you feel if I said, yo, Benny, if that wasn't your daughter, would you date her? How would you feel? The prices of gas went up because the job shut down the oil pump. This is why I don't like talking to people. Ray Roberts, the prices of oil didn't go up because of the pipeline. The pipeline has nothing to do with the gas, bro. The prices of gas went up because it's called demand and supply. demand and supply. The more people go out there, the more people that are driving, you're going to need more gas. So if you're going to need more gas, the people who are owning the gas company, they're going to say, I'm going to raise the prices because now I have to produce more gas. So if I have to produce more gas, that means I'm going to have to charge you more money to produce more. That's called common sense. So if you have no cars in the streets, then you can't, if there's no cars in the street, you cannot charge $2 or $3 a gallon. So you're gonna have to reduce the price. So that gas that you have, supply and demand, yeah, that gas that you have that it's stuck in that barrel, you have to get rid of, then you lower down the price because you have less cars in the streets and people buy that gas and until that gas leaves. Now, when there's a shortage, your gas prices will always go up. So the pipeline has nothing to do with gas prices. That pipeline had nothing to do with the United States of America. That pipeline ran from Canada all the way down to Mexico, and it gave no gas whatsoever to the United States. It didn't do shit for the United States. The funny thing about this is this: that gas pipe that Mr. Ray Roberts is talking about, they wanted to run that gas pipe through white land. All right. They went and they took a survey of the people that had white properties, and this is the truth. And they said, no, you're not going to run that pipeline through my neighborhood. So they said no, they shut it down, and they went around and they did it on Native American land. The Native Americans said no, 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 and they still did it anyway. And that's not going to be, and that pipeline was not benefiting us in any way, shape, or form. Everything that was coming out of the pipeline was going to go straight to Asia. And this is what pisses me off when people talk shit, but they do not do the research. And when they said that 12,000 people was going to get unemployed because of the pipeline, no, there was not. Those were projected. Only maybe like 120 people were working on that pipeline. And when that pipeline got finished, only I think it was 12 to 14 people was going to work on that pipeline because they all that needed to be worked. So I don't know what people are talking about. No, it's not right. Because Mr. Ray Roberts thinks that by you saying on TV, yeah, I'll date my daughter, he thinks it's right. He says, oh, he's just saying that. But no, that's not right. We as Spanish people and other people may think, right? You, even Italians, and I know Italians, they wouldn't even say that. They were like, what are you? You fucking sick, man? That's not a fucking, that would, you tell that to an Italian. You say, well, you date your daughter, look at the fuck out of here. Are you fucking crazy, man? You fucking crazy, man? No, because that's not the way we see our daughters. We see our daughters beautiful. We see our daughters gorgeous. You ask me, my daughter gorgeous? Yes. Is my daughter beautiful? Yes. When you ask me, would I date my daughter? No. That's not a question. I'll probably get offended. That's not a question you ask. I don't see my daughter that way. But for him to say, if that wasn't my daughter, I'll date her. And then for people like Ray Roberts to say, that's okay thing to say. No, that's not an okay thing to say. Or if that was my daughter, I'll date her. No. You're not supposed to look at your daughter like that. Those are things that you don't, those are things that you just don't say. It's incredible. But anyway, I am out. I let all these inbreeds to themselves. You know what I'm saying? I got things to do. So, yo, Jenny, enjoy yourself, man. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate it, man. Man, love. Thank you, Ray. That is true, man. We do love wholeheartedly. All right, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Have yourself a great night. Be safe. If you're going to drink, don't drive.